they get to say, oops, folks. They get to, oh, gee, sorry. Gee, can you believe that? No. See, had they been at a lower level, they could have just never had to answer the tobacco money question or the seatbelt question. When more than 100,000 people are dead and there's a gazillion dollars spent in the whole thing, you have to get up there and answer some questions. Same way the auto executives are now, Ben. See, they're up in front of Congress, in front of people like Chris Dodd, and they have to do the famous I'm sorry shuffle. They have to wear the hair shirt and get flogged by the senators for a little while. He slams them. Did you come here on your private jet? How much money did you make last year? Where are the hybrid cars? Blah, 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 blah. And he slams them, and the cameras are all on them. And then they leave there on their private jets, and they get whatever they came for, and it's all swept under the rug. But you can't give them that stuff without the appearance of, hey, you're in trouble. You're a bad man. You punish them and embarrass them and then give them what they want. So with the Iraq War, everybody got to say, whoa, gee, drop the ball on that. Thought it was a slam dunk, drop the ball. What are you going to do? Folks, who went to jail for that? Who was in trouble for that? Where were the consequences for taking a side in a position, a very important position, and being wrong about it? And people will say to me sometimes, Dan, what do you want to do, punish someone for a mistake? People make mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, in the private sector, if you make a mistake that people die in, you're going to get sued. You may get worse. Mistakes do not protect you in civil society. Why do they protect you when you're a guy who says, oh, we thought there were weapons of mass destruction, but there weren't? I know. Can you believe that? Well, sorry. Oops. No. That just tells the next administration or the next administration or the next administration that they can sit there and go, we think there's weapons of mass destruction in Iran. Well, what if you're wrong? Well, if we're wrong, I'll have to admit it. Folks, that's not enough of a downside to inhibit that behavior from happening again. But the problem is, and it's interesting, Ben, we have a guy on the discussion board now who's taken the discussion responsibility question we're talking about here on another issue to an interesting place. We're talking about the bailout plan with the various companies out there, and everyone was trying to affix blame and who was responsible or whatever, and this guy kept taking the conversation back to ground zero and saying, we're responsible. Each of us is responsible. And I kept trying to figure it out until it clicked that what he was saying was that because we don't go out there and respond when something like this happens, whatever it is, at the very ground zero point of action on this thing, it's us. Who do you blame for all this? Well, listen, it's really our fault. Whatever it is. I've been meditating on that line of thinking ever since. And when I saw this story about the tobacco settlement not going where it was supposed to, I thought, well, whose fault is that? That's going to be our fault again, too. What about these leaders that get away with saying, we'll never pull you over for the seatbelts, and 2 years later, that's exactly what they're doing? Who holds them responsible? Well, that's our job. Did we do it? No. So what do we get? More. Who's responsible for the fact that nobody gets in real trouble over the whole, well, where are the weapons of mass destruction? Whose fault is that? I guess that's our fault, too. Hardly have a memory long enough. Who wants to think back that far? The Obama administration already been saying, we're not going to look backwards. We don't want to look back. Who looks back? We're looking forward. In other words, we're not going to go look at all this stuff. Nobody wants to dredge up those worms. People don't remember anyway, and it could be embarrassing for some of our folks. Better let's just look forward. So nothing gets corrected, no one gets punished, no lessons are taught, no disincentives are created. Who's going to get, let's play the future game for a second here, who's going to get in trouble for screwing up this current reaction to this financial crisis we have now? Only an idiot. I'm doing it again, Ben. I'm putting myself on the issue. A lot of people on my camp this side, but ladies and gentlemen, there is no way this is going correctly. There is no way that the money is not being funneled off to places it shouldn't be. There is no way this isn't a partial. People are screwing things up royally right now. And these things are going to be found out when we're on other subjects down the road. Are you going to come back to now and remember it? Are you going to punish people when they say, oops? Or are you going to do the same thing we seem to have a long history of doing, and that is having a short-term memory about this stuff? And because we do, the people who do these things can count on that, and that leads to more of these things. Who gets punished for not finding weapons of mass destruction? Nobody. Who gets punished for screwing up the bailout plan, acting on it too fast, selling it the wrong way to the American people? Nobody. Who gets taken to task for the tobacco money not going where it's going? Nobody. So whose fault is this? It's everybody's. It's our fault. What are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Kids, you tried your best, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try.